One of the craziest things on the planet to me is the idea that the easiest way to whip women up into a frenzy during an election period is telling them that they cannot kill their children anymore.
Mr. Robin, the reason why that is so confusing to you is because you are misrepresenting the pro-choice belief. The pro-choice belief is not to rally voters so that they can support infanticide. The pro-choice perspective is something that most conservatives and people who are pro-life would agree upon, in that the government is not the best at dictating how people make healthcare decisions for themselves. That includes pregnancy. If you are to cede that right for yourself, you are also ceding multiple other rights that people should naturally have, such as the right to reproduce in the first place. When it comes to abortion, a great deal of people who claim to be pro-life are actually pro-choice. They just don't fully understand it because abortion has been turned into a purity test by Christians, where they have to signal that they are Christian by being against abortion. This is something known as costly signaling theory, which is common in most religions, where they will ban certain things like pork, alcohol, or caffeine, and so people will abstain from those things in order to signal that they are investing into the religion, which helps build trust and increase bonding in that community. A big reason why it's so difficult to have a genuine dialogue with someone who claims to be pro-life is that they are actually pro-choice in many ways. They do believe in exceptions for abortion. However, because it's a purity test, because they risk losing their community, the only way that they can really have a dialogue about abortion and maintain their beliefs and avoid risking losing their community is by equating it to murder, which it isn't. You can see this with Charlie Kirk. Ask him about abortion, he immediately pivots to murder. And there's other things too. When you're talking to pro-life activists, they don't want to legally consider abortion murder because you would be incarcerating mothers who have children that they need to take care of. You can provide historical examples for pro-life activists where they will agree that abortion was ethical and the best thing to do. For instance, during the Holocaust, if you're in a concentration camp and you risk being exterminated, it's better to have an abortion than to carry a pregnancy to term. Calling abortions murder is simply false by definition. Miscarriages are abortions. Those are spontaneous abortions. There are medically necessary abortions for things such as ectopic pregnancies. There are medication abortions that are also medically necessary. There are things such as dilation and evacuations where you are removing lingering tissue after a miscarriage. Those are considered, legally speaking, abortions. Removing a tumor can be legally considered an abortion in some states as well. When it actually comes to debating the topic of abortion, what's so difficult is that there are multiple reasons as to not learn more about the subject if you are claiming to be pro-life. Because if you learn more about the subject, you would become pro-choice, as I did, because you would understand, like most conservatives will agree, that the government is not capable of handling sensitive matters when it pertains to health, including pregnancy. Therefore, the government shouldn't dictate pregnancy. Most conservatives, for instance, are against vaccine mandates. They think that's government overreach. Yet the government determining whether or not you're capable of reproducing isn't government overreach? Because anti-choice legislation that has passed in states like Texas and Georgia has cost people their lives. People like Nevaeh Crane and Portia Gumezi. For other people, it has also caused life-altering injuries that prevent them from being able to have children again, which means that if you pass anti-choice legislation, you are also permitting the government to forcibly sterilize people against their own will, which again, most pro-life people would disagree with. In the United States, we have an extended history of forcibly sterilizing thousands of Native Americans, Puerto Ricans, and Mexicans against their will, something that most pro-life people would disagree with. The reason why people are pro-choice is because it is understood that the government is not capable of handling pregnancy because they will abuse that power eventually. It may be easy to just assume that people you disagree with are evil or delusional, but it doesn't mean that it's true. There are real, tangible reasons as to why people should have choices regarding their pregnancy. And for you to claim that people are just advocating for infanticide is a disservice to yourself and to your followers if you are genuinely trying to help people and save lives.